Sisters, the war has come to Daka.
And welcome back. This is your man Warrior. This is going to be a review of the newly reworked Nightsisters. This is coming to the game and the addition of Mother Talzin. Now let's get right into it. We're going to first start with Mother Talzin. She's going to obviously be a Nightsister. She's considered a support, but is definitely going to be one of the two primary leaders for your Nightsister team. Her very basic is called I-Core Lightning. I-Core Lightning is going to deal special damage to a target enemy, and if they were previously plagued, we'll get into that in a second, but if they had that debuff plagued, it will inflict plague for another 3 turns. It will also deal special damage to all other plagued enemies, which cannot be countered. This is damage that's going to hit. Now, what plague is it's a permanent debuff where they lose 5% health when inflicted and at the start of their turns. It also means they're immune to ally dispels. It means they can't dispel any of the stuff off of them, and it loses all stacks of plagues when healed to full. Her first special, called Dark Magic, will deal special damage to all enemies. This is an area of effect, or an AoE, and it will inflict plague for 3 turns. This is her primary means of inflicting plague on the opponent, and then of course on her basic she'll be able to give it a stacking second time, so pretty awesome on that. It says this attack ignores protection, so this does damage directly to their health pool, and that's just like the Sith. There's a couple of Sith that do that as well, like the Sith Assassin. So you have to start thinking about how the Nightsisters and the Sith factions are going to start to synergize together. There is a cooldown of 4 for this AoE attack. Her second special is called Spirit Blade Assault. It deals special damage to a target enemy, and it's going to call all other Nightsister allies to assist. If any enemies are defeated, then all Nightsister allies are revived and recover 100% health. So if this AoE finishes someone off, and it probably will, everybody comes back to life, and this is a cooldown of 4. Pretty cool. Now, as a leader, she just gets better. Nightsister allies are going to have plus 50% potency and plus 30% speed. If you were to mod them for speed, you are going to make for a very fast Nightsisters team, and you will have to worry less about potency because she's taking care of that for the team. Also, anytime a Nightsister ally uses a special ability, which they all have many of, they will inflict plague on the selected target for 3 turns, which cannot be evaded. So they're going to spread plague as well. It says when an enemy resists a detrimental effect, Nightsisters are going to gain 5% turn meter. So also her leadership ability is going to allow for them to have turn meter gain if your team is tenacious and resisting those effects. Also, she has a Zeta on her leadership, which will say when a Nightsister ally uses a basic ability during their turn, a random defeated Nightsister ally is revived with 50% health and called to assist. Then the revived ally is immediately defeated unless an enemy was defeated. The revived ally can't be revived by this effect again until the end of the next turn. So every time a Nightsister uses their basic ability, someone that's dead is going to come back from the dead with 50% health and assist, and then they'll go back to being dead. It's basically like calling out the dead to help. This is a really cool ability. If you've ever watched the Clone Wars, you'd know that old Daka brings people back to life, and Mother Talzin as well. This is part of their strategy of war. All right, now we got a taste of Mother Talzin. Let's see how the reworked Nightsisters are going to play out. So old Daka is going to be a defensive Nightsister healer, of course, who stuns and revives. We know this. Her basic Insightful Blow is now going to deal physical damage to a target enemy with a 75% chance to stun them. This used to be 60%. It's now up to 75% chance to stun. It will also deal physical damage to another random enemy, that's new, with a 55% chance to stun them for 1 turn, and that's the same. So pretty cool. Now it's going to do damage to 2 targets and stun potentially both of those targets. Chant of Resurrection now says revive a random defeated Nightsister ally at 1 health with a 35% chance or 70% chance on Nightsisters to revive another defeated ally at 1 health. So if you're playing all Nightsisters, there's a 70% chance to revive 2 and a guarantee on 1. And then all of the allies will recover health equal to 50%, which is up from 30%, of old Daka's max health with a cooldown of 4 on this ability. Pretty awesome. You're not going to run her as the leader, but she is now going to give Nightsister allies 50% health and 50% defense. That is up significantly from where it was. And her unique Serve Again has obviously been reworked. It says whenever another ally is defeated, Daka's going to gain 50% turn meter, and the cooldown of her Chant of Resurrection is reduced by 1. And whenever another ally is revived while old Daka's active, the revived ally gains 20% turn meter and gains offense up and defense up for 2 turns, making them a harder hitter and more defensible. And this on the Zeta upgrade only will also give old Daka plus 10% max health stacking until the end of the battle. We're starting to see these stacking benefits with these new characters. One of the few that people actually really are excited about for sure is Asajj Ventress. Obviously, she's a Nightsister controller with healing who generates attack power as characters are defeated. So this is going to be pretty exciting. Her basic Cruel Strike is going to remain the same from what I understand. It will just deal physical damage with a 35% chance to stun the target. They are reworking Strike Fear. Now it's going to dispel all buffs on all enemies, and this is new, Nightsister allies recover 40% health. For each buff dispelled, that enemy has a 50% chance to lose 20% turn meter, and Nightsister allies recover 10%, up from 9% health. This attack can't be evaded or resisted with a cooldown of 3, so pretty cool. Endless Wrath is going to now deal special damage to all enemies and now also inflict defense down for 2 turns, and then refreshes on all cooldowns on a finishing blow. Pretty cool, with a cooldown of 3. She does have a really good Nightsister ability, so she might be one of the leads you run if you decide to go Nightsisters. Nightsister allies have plus 30% speed and plus 30% offense. Crazy, both her and Mother Talzin bring in 30% or 30 speed, which is pretty awesome. Also, it says gain 50% turn meter when they fall below 100% health, so they're going to get faster when they start to get hurt, and they have a 50% chance to remove 20% turn meter from any damage when they damage an enemy. This is identical basically to Darth Vader's lead in the sense that he allows the 50% chance to remove 20% turn meter, and then of course this turn meter can't be resisted, just like Darth Vader. So a very similar turn meter reduction that Darth Vader brings to the table, but for Nightsisters. Her Rampage, her unique, is being reworked. It says now whenever an ally or enemy is defeated, Asajj now gains 35% turn meter and gains 15% offense, that's new, 15% critical chance, and 5% max health stacking until the end of the encounter. So she's going to gain stacking health as well. Asajj has plus 15 speed for each enemy with no buffs, making her lightning fast. From Zeta upgrade, plus also remember the Zeta upgrade, it will give plus 75% turn meter gain chance. It's going to add that plus 5% offense, an additional 5% critical chance, and when any ally or enemy is defeated, Asajj will gain that 5% max health until the end of turn. Talia, being one of the most useful characters in the early game, is going to find her way back into the meta. Talia is obviously an aggressive healer that sacrifices her own health so that she can help her allies recover health and turn meter. On her basic Draining Strike, she's going to deal physical damage to a target enemy, dealing plus 50% damage if Talia is below full health. Nightsister allies will recover health equal to the damage dealt. That's new. That's pretty awesome. Her first special, Water of Life, now will start right off with dispelling all debuffs on all Nightsister allies. Talia consumes 20% of her max health and gains 15% turn meter for each active Nightsister ally. So much synergy here. It says other allies recover 50%, that's up from 40%, max health and gain 30% turn meter. And they're going to work out her Harrowing Assault now. It deals special damage to a target enemy and inflict damage over time. And Stagger. They're now adding the Stagger for 2 turns. Remember, Stagger, once applied, the next time they take damage, they lose all their turn meter. It's kind of like skipping them. So really good debuff. If Talia has full health, consume 10% of her max health to deal double damage. Otherwise, she immediately uses Draining Strike, her basic. Pretty awesome. Nightsister Acolyte will probably have some use for sure because she loves to go into stealth mode. She's a stealth attacker with some enemy debuffing and self-healing abilities. She can kind of heal herself. On her basic, Strike from the Shadows, it's now going to deal physical damage to a target enemy with a 70, this is up from 55%, a 70% chance to gain stealth for 2 turns. And if Nightsister Acolyte has stealth, she'll attack a second time. So you definitely want her stealth. Pretty awesome. Sacrificial Magics, her first special, will deal damage to a target enemy on a critical hit, gain 30% turn meter, and dispel all debuffs on a random Nightsister ally. This is another debuff cleanser on the team. Pretty awesome. This attack's going to gain 20% critical damage for each active Nightsister ally and each debuffed enemy. Think about that. That will be up to 10 times 20% critical damage. You could have potentially 200% critical damage on this. And it says on a finishing blow, reduce the cooldown of this by 1. And it has a cooldown of only 3. For Thrill of Victory, Nightsister Acolyte has 25%, that's up from 15%, critical chance and recovers 20% health on each critical hit. Also is going to be added, while Nightsister Acolyte has stealth, she also has plus 50% offense. Crazy. She should become a massive damage dealer for the team in addition to Asajj. Nightsister Initiate is also an attacker, and this is the only thing I'm finding with the Nightsisters is they have no tank. So having a full 5 Nightsister squad is going to be difficult because people are going to pick off whatever character they need to first. Yes, they're going to be coming back to life, which is annoying, but you definitely will want to replace probably one of these, such as Nightsister Initiate, for a tank such as General Kenobi, or one that you can, is my suggestion, because there is no tank, and to be player versus player viable on defense, you really are going to need to have that tank option available, even with all of the reviving. Now, Nightsister Initiate is critical focused attacker that can render enemies immune to buffs. This is going to prevent them from buffing themselves, which is awesome. On her basic Slice Open, it will deal physical damage to a target enemy and inflict damage over time for 3 turns. On a critical hit, inflict damage over time for 3 turns. Pretty cool. So it's now giving additional damage over time when you do physical damage, not just on a crit, but on all damage. For the first special, Cut Down, it now will say all allies, this will apply to everybody, gains critical chance up for 3 turns, then deal physical damage to a target enemy with a cooldown of 3. Nothing special here, except adding critical chance up. Her second special, Severing Strike, will deal physical damage to a target enemy and inflict buff immunity for 2 turns. Buff immunity obviously is great. It's an excellent debuff to apply to an opponent. She's also going to be given a unique called Nightsister Retaliation. If Nightsister Initiate has full health, she has 100% counter chance. Otherwise, she'll have 100% offense, additional offense. And then when you Zeta it, you'll get the additional plus 30% counter chance and plus 50% offense. So really, really crazy. She's going to make her just a super heavy hitter. Now that we've talked about the characters, let's go ahead and go over basic general strategies and synergy. Of course, Mother Talzin is off the charts. These new and improved Nightsisters obviously are going to, in theory, be a real top-end arena squad team. They should be able to deal serious damage in the player versus environment stuff, such as Hat. And they're bringing that new synergy with the Plague debuff, which they're going to spread around, pretty cool. And also their ability to just stay alive through the revive mechanics of both Old Daka and with all the ability to heal with Old Daka and whatnot. Pretty cool. It makes them a fun squad to use strategically during battle. On the other hand, if you have to face off against this new Nightsister team, it's going to be kind of a unique and exciting challenge. It's going to feel fun to go against, something new and different. So hopefully a lot of people embrace this and run with it. That would be pretty exciting. As far as Mother Talzin goes, with player versus player, Mother Talzin is going to be a crucial top tier competitive Nightsister squad. She needs to be in there. She is the only source of Plague, which is going to be that new debuff that the Nightsisters use as their primary source of damage in the first half of the fight. So a well-constructed Nightsister squad in particular is going to be particularly difficult to beat on defense unless you bring the proper tools. Remember, I said they don't have a tank, so keep that in mind when you're fighting them, that you may want to have that if you decide to go with them, to add that. That will give them some durability. The Zeta upgrade, the Great Mother, provides a nearly unstoppable source of assists, generating bonus damage and extra control utility throughout each fight. As far as going against like PvE and stuff like that, in the heroic tank raid, she offers a lot of AoE damage through the use of that Plague ability combined with Ichor Lightning. And Spirit Blade Assault has the ability to revive all Nightsister allies, creating a powerful mechanism to allow them to recover from otherwise would be kind of a weak raid attempt. It's just all that additional calls to assist even after they've died is pretty crazy. And then also Plague Bearer, which is Talzin's ability, is a must-have for Nightsisters, whether she's under Asajj's lead or her own. This unique's going to ensure she's a mainstay for the squad for many, many full moons. So Asajj now, her player versus player. Asajj has claimed the rightful spot as the top damage dealer in the Nightsisters faction. Asajj's turn meter gain and scaling offense, critical chance, and max health on Rampage fit perfectly with the Zeta upgrade of Mother Talzin's leadership ability, the Great Mother. Asajj deals immense amounts of damage late in the fight, presenting players with another high-value target to strategize around. Asajj also gains squad utility due to her special strike, Fear, now healing all Nightsister allies. There's a lot of healing going on in this team. As far as player versus environment, Asajj is now primarily the primary damage dealer, who's going to elevate the Nightsisters to the next level of the player versus environment encounters. Her ability to increasingly scale her damage and health based on the numbers of defeated units during an encounter makes her an offensive powerhouse who will grow stronger over the battle and is able to deal extremely large amounts of damage with her basic attack. Her healing, her buff dispelling, and the removal of enemy turn meter makes her essential in most Night Squad configurations. Nightsister Acolyte, after her rework, she's going to deal a lot more damage, she's going to gain stealth more often, and she'll be able to attack a second time while stealth. And for the player versus environment, she'll be key in this squad for PvE. Her damage output's going to make her very useful in certain phases, while her ability to gain stealth with the Strike from Shadows makes her a pivotal in Phase 3. So interesting, Phase 3 of the heroic AA take, where she can't be counterattacked, yet removes turn meter from the boss under Asajj's lead. So turn meter removal in Phase 3 of the heroic AAT, something to keep in mind. As far as Nightsister Initiate, her cut down is now going to grant her allies critical chance up for 3 turns. She has also gained a new unique ability, Nightsister Retaliation, that can grant her either 100% counter chance or 100% offense, making her even stronger in arena. Also, on PvE, with that critical chance up, it's going to give a huge boost to all the Nightsister squad. She can inflict a decent amount of damage with her cut down and provide that utility buff immunity with that Severing Strike. So this would be a team that would also work in Phase 1 with the ability to apply that buff immunity and with the turn meter removal. So this is definitely built potentially for Phase 1 and potentially for Phase 3 of the heroic AAT. So definitely one of the characters you'll want to use. Old Daka, I see as an integral part of this. She obviously needs to be in there if you want a truly competitive Nightsister squad. Her constant revives and heal is going to provide very troublesome if they allow it to go unchecked. Although, once you've unlocked the Zeta upgrade on Mother Talzin's leadership ability, your enemies will have to think twice about defeating Daka first, because if they do, Daka will begin to use her basic from Beyond the Grave, which will possibly inflict a couple of stuns every single turn with those abilities on her basic. So player versus environment, Old Daka is going to be vital to any Nightsisters long-term battle, as long as there's no enrage timer. If it's any other PvE environment, such as dark side battles and things like that, she's going to be vital in keeping them alive. She used to be the end-all be-all for dark side missions. You had to have an Old Daka back in the day, and this is kind of becoming that way again. She's going to be able to sustain your team. She'll be really powerful to take them through the Galactic War or dark side battles, Cantina battles, things like that, because she'll be able to lock down the enemy with all those stuns and with the heals for your team. As far as Talia goes, for player versus player, she'll be a solid healer for the lower arena brackets, and she could function decently under Mother Talzin, but if you were going to replace anyone for player versus player, you might want to take Talia out for maybe General Kenobi or someone like that. Although her Water of Life can now dispel all debuffs on all Nightsister allies. That debuff capability is pretty amazing. She will always be, considered, especially because she's a Nightsister and will have all of that Nightsister utilization. In player versus environment, she's going to bring a lot of dispelling and healing to a unit and can be exceedingly useful against debuff heavy features. So she deals a significant amount of damage and can easily keep squads healed up with Drain Strike, her Water of Life, and her Harrowing Assault. So all 5 got reworked. There's a lot of new stuff happening, and we're getting a new Mother Talzin. Now, I know in the announcement they mentioned that there were Nightsisters with an S coming into the game. I do not have more information on if and what is coming in addition, but I can only imagine that some of the characters that are in the current game files may make their way into the game. I hope this has helped you check out Nightsisters. My overall impression is they're going to be a really fun squad to run. If somebody wants to do something different, throwing in a possible tank for player versus player, I think they could be highly contentious in the top 20 of any leaderboard, which is exciting to have a dark side team capable of running an arena right now. That would be exciting, not just having an Empire team, but also having something other than an Empire team or the old Jedi Luke teams that are currently available. As always, keep your gaming on. Warrior out.